I think we're just waiting on just a few more families making their way across from the Chapel Green car park. It's getting pretty close for parking with all the renovations going on. So you can be patient for a moment. We'll get underway when we've got a few more people through the door. All right, students and family members who are here today, thank you so much for coming out this cold evening. We're lucky it's not pouring with rain, to get some information about our alternative learning academic pathways for students. So some of you here may have a clear idea what you might like to be doing next year, be that year 11 or year 12, and some of the families here might be here because you want to just find out what all of the different options are available to keep those options clear in your mind before making those final decisions. So hopefully by the end of this talk you'll have a confident and clear idea of what you can do and how to go about actioning that in the next couple of months as you make the final decision for subject selection and so on for the future years. So all of the information that I'm putting on these slides will appear on the portal. I'm not going to read through every bit of information. There's more information than you need, but we are live streaming today to families who might be in the country or otherwise interested, and as a consequence the PowerPoint will contain a lot more information that you're welcome to go back through and look at as we go through here. So when we talk about alternative pathways, we're discussing all the different options that might be available. So some students may want to pursue a ATAR focused pathway at school versus some maintaining some ATAR subjects, but then looking at an alternative entry through a university pathway, of which there are many. Others may be looking at doing a apprenticeship, training, etc. And we're talking about those as a whole variety of options that we action for students here. There's no one style of learning and another style of learning at Hale these days, or in fact across schools. The alternatives that are available are vast and quite exciting and genuinely successful for a lot of students. If you look at the alternative pathways, the options that are open is that it does, as I said, include a lot of range of options from training, work, apprentices, university pathways straight from school, regardless of whether you pick a full ATAR weighted style of delivery or not. Academic awards and prizes are available for students in all of the subject areas, as well as academic prizes in the training courses they might undertake outside of school. Grade equivalencies, so the work experience component, which makes up part of the CareerLink branch of our alternative pathways, gets equivalent grades that may be of benefit for students who want to secure their WACE graduation. Students we find who participate in this program may start their year 11 or 12 experience not sure where they want to be at the end of year 12 or not sure what they want to do, but we'd find usually by the end of year 12 students who participate in this program are confident and very clear in their mind where they can go next and where that means their potential is to start the pathways that are going to lead them through the sort of labyrinth that is somebody's life career. It's great in the sense that students, because of their interactions with people within and outside of the school, develop their communication skills. It does give them a realistic understanding of what an industry is like. It might sound very glamorous to be a auto detailer painting cars. Unless you actually take a hand in the actual work, it's hard sometimes to know what it's like. We give those people that opportunity. So we've already talked about some of these, so please, as I said, if you'd like to go back and have a look at that, that's fine. But the options we've discussed already. So looking quickly at what we call the university direct entry, which is of interest to some students. This is for the students here who may feel that they've still got university aspirations, but to achieve a pass or better in 4 ATAR subjects at the current point is not realistic for them. And that might be because they just basically are shocking at doing exams. It's not necessarily because they're not good at academic subjects. Just the style of the ATAR subjects may not suit them. So a direct entry using the Certificate 4 in Business, which we auspice through Fremantle Education College, and has a very good record of success for students, is undertaken at the moment by about 20 of our current Year 12s, with the aspiration to go straight to uni from Year 12. It gives them, they will have to do English ATAR as their sole ATAR subject. They can do more if they want. But if you pass English with a 50% or better scale mark and finish the Certificate 4 in the external training, you can go through to university. Stephen Kernet here has joined us today. He's our career counsellor and is very aware of all of the different university pathways. So if there's anything in particular you want to interject at any point, Stephen, just let me know. Yeah.
Just on that, I want to make sure you're clear that if you don't actually get an ATAR score of 70, so there can be a misconception that you are assigned an ATAR score of 70, you're not. The university calls it either a nominal or a notional ATAR of 70. It's for their records and purposes only. You get the scaled score of 50, complete the Cert 4 in Business. Most courses that are open to an ATAR of 70, you would be able to access through ECU, Murdoch or Curtin. A number of our boys are interested in construction management. You should also take maths applications if that is the case. So if you did maths applications, ATAR English, Cert 4 Business Year 12, 50% scaled score in the 2 ATAR subjects, completion of the Cert 4, direct entry into construction management under the Applied Sciences area at Curtin University. So just to be sure, you're not getting a 70, you only get a 70 or above if you do 4 or more ATAR subjects.
And if, like me, at 7 o'clock at night, that's a lot to process, it will be very much available on the net. And Stephen's fantastic if you want to give him a call to get some ideas about the application process and a clarity on any of those particular aspects. The upshot of it is basically it's a very viable option for many students who still have university aspirations as one of the pathways in our alternative options. And if you go on the site there, we've listed the direct links to the university alternate pathway descriptors. Now, going back to what we call CareerLink. Now, CareerLink is our longest established program, over 20 years within Hale School, offering students pathways through to training and work experience. And any student who joins the alternate pathway area is eligible to be part of this, and most students engage with this. So what we offer is, both in Year 11 and 12, the option of students doing an externally auspiced course for 1 or 2 years, depending on their area of interest and how long it takes for them to complete that course. They're out 1 day a week on the Tuesdays, and the school timetable is structured to give them sort of every benefit in terms of being able to manage the school and external commitments there. What we offer is a large number of courses. The way that CareerLink functions is that we are associated with a number of other schools, 8 at the present, and that enables us to broker relationships with a range of training organisations to offer a wide variety of courses to students, because so much of this is about inspiring students to find something that they can succeed in and try an area that might suit their area of interest, or develop at least a knowledge of an area that's going to be a benefit for them in the future. So ultimately, we don't want to just be offering a small range of courses that may not suit everybody. We can't offer every course that's available in TAFE, but we certainly, I would hope, when you see the list, cater for a large variety of potentially interesting areas that are going to be of benefit to them. All of the trainers we use are nationally recognised, perfectly well respected, and we have had a long history with many of them. Workplace learning, which is the other thing you'll hear about, is basically what we might have known as adults as work experience, but with a twist. 55 hours of work experience gives you a grade equivalency of C grades, which can go towards graduation requirements, but more importantly, the actual accumulation of hours gives students a great opportunity to get a hands-on experience with the business that they might be interested in. For families, the question I always get is, do we have to organise work placement? The answer is no. Many families do, and this is where family networks are always appreciated. So this year, Sharon Calcott, who I should have introduced, by the way, I'm sorry, Sharon, if you'd like to stand up, and just Sharon Calcott is part of the group, the CareerLink office, who all of the schools employ on the school's behalf to help with the day-to-day running of the program, does a fabulous job locating placements for our school and other schools as well as maintain the connections between the training and the work placements for us, so that we are always aware of what the students are up to. And you would be meeting Sharon at some point or talking to her, I'm sure, if you get engaged with this program. But the upshot of it is, we can find work placements if you don't have connections in that area. As I said, some parents may have family friends who want to or are happy to take on students to do work experience because it's an area that's of interest to them. That's fantastic too. There's no obligation to find places or pressure on families, but if you want to be part of that, that is fantastic. Minimum 55 hours is what we'd like all students to achieve. Some courses may require more. So, for example, the students who might choose Electrode Technology with an aspiration to be an electrician down the track may choose the Electrode Technology course, and consequently their requirements for hours of experience for them to achieve the full certificate is higher than the basic 55. I think it's 120 or 156. So, and we make sure we organise that. Work placement, so that families are aware, usually consists of time in the examination periods in year 11 and 12 where students won't be doing exams. They usually attend work placement, but if it's a course that requires a substantially higher number of hours, we do try and use at least a few weeks in the holidays to do that. So be aware that we may be saying, if your son's in a course that has a higher level of hours expectation, some of their holidays may be needed to complete those hour requirements. Failure to complete the hours means you can't complete the certificate, so it is quite important that we do that. So if we're negotiating those things, and when you look on the site, you can see exactly how many hours are required for each course, which may help you make decisions as well. We've never had a student not achieve their hours. It's relatively straightforward. Would you like to say anything about that, Sharon, or anything? In school, as a consequence, if you join the alternate pathway courses, you'll be doing Career and Enterprise, which is a general course, year 11 and 12. So one of the 6 subjects you choose is Career and Enterprise. It's basically structured as a work and career development based subject. It's very practical. Students walk away with resume, full electronic portfolio, a very good grasp of just the world of work, which is the reason why we included in our suite of subjects for students in this area. So if you complete the course and walk away at the end of year 12, you'll have the following: additional TAFE entry points for many competitive courses. So some TAFE courses you can't just walk into. You can potentially, by completing certificates prior to application, have an advantage there. The direct entry into uni, which we've spoken of, alternate entry to uni for a range of courses, enhanced opportunities for apprenticeships. We've got a very good record of students moving through from school straight into apprenticeships because of the excellent impression they've made in their work experience at work placements. And at the current stage, we've got at least 3 students we're aware of who are already likely to begin their apprenticeships next year in excellent places like West Track, in heavy diesel and some electrical companies, etc. So the advantages of doing this course in terms of career potential in a very, I suppose, challenging career environment is substantial and provable. And I think for many people these days that opportunity is something that is very valuable, because it's not the case that you can all just jump on a plane and go to the mines anymore or something like that. So the options definitely work out well for people. The options can be sourced by clicking on this link. So CareerLink, our organisation, has a separate site which has all of this information on it that you can easily have a look at. How do we get into it? We will ask you to do an application online. The online applications will open probably from Wednesday next week, so they'll be available on the portal. So if you go on Wednesday next week, please have a look at the portal for CareerLink online applications. The program is new as of this year, and we just with Google doing its normal thing of changing its type of platforms, checking and double checking that it's functional. So the other option is a paper application, which we also have available on the CareerLink website. So if there's any issue when you try to apply, please just use the contact information to send me an email, and I'll flick you the link to the paper one or print one for you and give it to your son. Once you put in your application, we'll organise an interview. We interview all students, obviously to get a feel for whether they're suitable for the program, and that's my only point. And I don't think I've ever had to turn away a Hale student, but there may be some circumstances where parts of the program may not suit every student. So if a student finds it very hard to get to school in terms of literally turning up every day, to expect some students to get to TAFE every day may not necessarily be viable for all in all circumstances. We're not making predictions about who we will and won't take, but that's one of the reasons why we have the interview. So we can tailor the course to suit the individual student's own circumstances and what they're capable of doing, and hopefully what they want to do, most importantly. If you are a boarder, another question that many boarders quite rightly ask is, how does my son get to and from the places? We organise all transport for boarders, and currently we cover the cost of the transport as well. For safety's sake, we do use taxis a lot, which is not cheap, but it's the safest way we can ensure, using drivers that we use through the school regularly, of getting students to and fro. Though in some circumstances, boarders can catch trains and buses. And day boys, part of the whole process of moving beyond school is self-management, and finding your own way back and to and from work is a big part of that. And we've never had any problem with students getting to and from training and work once they've started. So that's part of the actual area. Once we have the interviews, and this is one of the things, please put your applications in as soon as possible once the application package becomes available, ideally next Wednesday. Even if you're having trouble with the application package and you want to email me the area or the course that your student's interested in, so I've got an early record of it, that's important. Why I'm saying that is some courses are very popular and the TAFEs will only allow us to have an X number of students in it. So if you aspire to a course, let us know early. The other thing I want to mention, and some students, won't know until the end of the year whether you're going to do this or not. Some of you are here speculating, well, I'm just keeping it in the mix so I know what's available. I would still advise you to apply. It's no cost to families. If you find at the end of the year that it's not right for you because you've made other decisions, it's not a problem. You just tell us we're not going to pick up that. The corollary to that is if you decide, well, I don't think it's for me at the moment, and then wait until the results come out and find that you do really want to consider this as an option, you've not put in an application, the choices are just a lot less. You will still be allowed to do the program, but you might not be able to do the electrical course or the dental course or those sort of things. The logbook, all students while in the workplace get a logbook, and they have to fill that out to be eligible to get their 55 hours acknowledged for their work experience. A great way to keep track of what they do at work, not overly laborious, but something that we do give them all. So if your son is involved in that for families, encouraging them to keep their logbook up to date is a great thing to do, and be aware that it's something that they can take away at the end and show future work options. That's some evidence of their good work. They get a report from their trainer, etc., which usually for Hale students, I'm delighted to say, is glowing. Oopsie. So basically looking at subject choices for students. So any student taking these programs is still going to usually do 6 subjects in Year 11, if you're a Year 11 student in 2020, but you will do Career and Enterprise, an English subject, so either ATAR or General. ATAR recommended for anyone who wants to maintain that university pathway option. Maths subject, and again, if you're doing something like electrical or plumbing, or have an interest in that, we strongly advise, in fact we say you really should, be keeping at least the fundamental maths level at ATAR level as part of your suite of subjects, because the maths and the plumbing, we find from history with the course, is the thing that many students have difficulty with in plumbing and electrical. It's not something you can just make up. There is actually a lot of algebra and other calculation work in those areas, particularly in today when you're dealing with complex circuitry, etc., or large plumbing of buildings, etc., water pressure and so on. So if you're good at maths, keep it. It's always a wise idea. And if you aspire to some areas, just be realistic about how good you are at the skills needed. And then 3 other subjects which you can choose. Many Year 11s may choose one of the Certificate 2 courses that we offer at Hale as part of the whole area, and that gives them then an in-school qualification and their external qualification, and gives them all the benefits I've talked about already. Talk to your heads of house about it, talk to me, talk to Mr. Kernan about it, boys, if you're wondering about which subjects to choose. Year 12, slightly different, obviously. They still do the Career and Enterprise. They mainly maintain subjects that they've picked in Year 11, though if they pick Certificate 4 in business, we do allow students to do private study in Year 12 and just 5 subjects at school, simply because the time they need to do the Certificate 4 work, which is substantial, is acknowledged, and some students want that private study to do that in as well. The students themselves do sometimes not realise, I think, that it's a different style of learning. We have to emphasise this. It's a different style of learning. It's not necessarily an easier style of learning. It may not have exams. It doesn't mean that it doesn't have content, or it's something that you can just simply turn up and have a lovely time and walk away with a nice certificate. It's more hands-on. It's a genuine adult learning environment. We do not dictate to TAFE what they can do. We're simply giving our students into the care of TAFE, and they're running those programs, or the RTOs, Registered Training Organisations. We don't just use TAFEs. But so a student has the opportunity to really rise up and engage with that adult style learning, and most of them love it. It's very rare that we have people coming back and saying they hate their training experience, because it does give them a different style of learning. But the other side is that there still is the expectation that they have to produce work and you have to meet the benchmarks. The other way, of course, is that it's either satisfactory or not satisfactory in certificate courses. You don't walk away with an A, B or C. You are demonstrating a competency. So if the competency is showing full ability to produce a business proposal based on certain criteria, they either do that or they don't. Pass or fail in the cert courses. Most students are going to pass, but I do have to say that it's not a waltz in the park. It's a different style of learning, and we want students to appreciate that that's an opportunity that they have, but it's not a free ticket for fun for two years. We do just mention the fact that although there's no exams, all general courses in the last couple of years have had to complete an externally set task, which is a bit like an in-class test really, but it's just a way that, I've mentioned it to families because some people say, well, my son's come home and said he's got an exam, you never said he's an exam. It's not really an exam, it's actually just a way that the curriculum managers use to see that teachers are assessing consistently across the schools. It's not a scaled thing or affects the students' marks in any way, other than they get a mark like they would a normal in-class test. Don't panic if you hear of an exam in a general subject is the message. All students who do an ATAR course still have to do an ATAR exam, so if you keep 1, 2 or 3, and we would never recommend more than 3, usually no more than 2 for ATAR for a student doing alternative pathways. You'll still do the exams, you'll still do the final exams at the end of the year, so you do have to expect that as well. Cost of the program, many schools charge parents directly. We've always been very passionate about Hale School at making sure that all students' different learning interests and areas are considered to be of equivalent value and worth. So our argument for not charging families at the moment is that basically, why are we charging a family more for doing one style of course versus doing another at Hale School? There is a cost to Hale, and most of these courses cost between $2,000 to $3,000 to auspice, but we don't pass that on to families at the moment. Okay, and we won't be doing that next year. So that hopefully just gives you an idea, but also I do like to mention the cost because many students will go along thinking that it's just something we do. It's actually a substantial investment in the school for these students, and hopefully students appreciate they're walking away with quite a lot of money invested in their future as well, and realise it's an important thing to get those competencies done right. Travelling costs, as I said, are covered for borders within reason. If it becomes something that's very hard for us to manage, like we had one student who had to go to Mindari from Hale for 4 weeks, and the family were able to make some extra arrangements for travel rather than us paying for a taxi that way every day, which helped us. You may be asked to buy some textbooks. It's not a substantial outlay in most cases, and any student involved in anything that may put them at risk physically, any of the mechanical type of courses, you are required to buy what you would expect, normal safety wear, same if they're on work sites, etc. So applications I've already mentioned. Get them in as soon as you can. If you're having any problems, don't hesitate to call, email. Contact is everything we find here. Sharon, I and Stephen work very closely together. I would probably say every day without exaggeration I'd be on the phone to at least 3 to 4 parents, simply just either talking to them about how the course is going, checking about details, answering basic questions, and Sharon's obviously exactly the same, and Stephen then processes another aspect of that with the career guidance there. So we're very accustomed to taking questions, and please don't hesitate to ask. And it makes everything very easy. So if you're applying for the course and you're having trouble, don't be frustrated, just give us a call, we can easily sort everything out for you. Just when you are doing subject selection, just make attention to that note there that Year 11 students who wish to enter the program for the first time, so in Year 12, can only pick 1-year courses. Some courses are 2 years, some are 1 year. So if you're Year 12 next year, you can only pick courses that run for 1 year, simply because obviously then you can't complete the course and walk away with no certificate. So this just gives you an idea of destinations of some of our students in the past. The numbers are increasing. We've got 40 this year as opposed to 20 last year. This was the year before. We had 6 from that go straight to university. We had 4 in apprenticeships, 3 who went through to further training at TAFE or other actual RTOs. So we do have a great variety of students who do a lot of different things. Critical ingredients, well, positive attitude. You have to be an independent and reasonably reliable person. Doesn't mean that you know, at the present have a few issues with mum and dad about getting up early in the morning and needing a bit of a push out the door, but you do need to appreciate that a commitment to this program, students I'm talking to here, means that you have to expect to be treated like adults and all that that implies. Honesty and integrity, very important, particularly in the workplaces. The potential to impress an employer by being reliable, responsible, honest and have integrity is very much a part of this program. Ability to get on with others. Many students just thrive on the fact that obviously we've got 8 other schools, 8 other groups of students, chances to make new contacts, and many people do make friends as a consequence of this as well and enjoy just working in different environments with students from a range of schools, boys and girls. And be reasonably flexible and mature. So if you've got in your mind, so I had one student one year who wanted to work in the mines with explosives. We did have to be he had to be a bit flexible in the fact that we couldn't find him work in the centre of Perth blowing up things, obviously. So we ask families to be reasonably reasonable. If we can find work that suits a general area that relates to that, we'll do it. We can't guarantee that we can definitely get you, you know, the perfect workplace every time. Often we can. These are our membership schools, just for those who are interested. So you can look quickly down there and see that we're on the north corridor, and many schools often, Hale comparatively has fewer students than the other schools. So I think Sacred Heart, where Sharon's located, has over 160 students currently doing the alternate pathway options. There's some useful contacts here again. Please don't hesitate to call. Apparently you can dial 0 for me. I'll make sure that my number goes up correctly there. Ideally never 000 though. The courses, this just gives you an idea of the courses that are on offer for 2020. This is the current listing, hence the 2019. So Year 11 students can do Cert 3 in Business at Fremantle Education Centre, and Year 12s then can translate to Cert 4 in Business, and many students might do the diploma after that. A brilliant course, given that you can do both of those in 1 year. A very high qualification for students, given that they're out 1 day a week for 3 terms. Certificate 3 in Education Support. These are actually some photos of our own students over the past. So a student might be aspiring to work in education. They may take up Cert 3 in Year 11, Cert 4 in Year 12. A great way to get them a qualification. In point of fact, the Cert 4 qualification makes them eligible to work as a teacher's assistant straight out of high school, which is very good as an option. So students who might have a sporting interest often might do this as an extra string to their bow, as the opportunity to teach sport in schools. Cert 3 in Early Childhood Care. Now, some of these may not be traditionally male-orientated courses. It may be the case that it suits your interest. Fantastic. And we obviously want to encourage students to pick what they're actually passionate about. So we do have a few students in the Early Childhood Education Centre who are males. Love it, do really well. If it's interesting to you, go for it. Certificate 4 in Community Services is more, how would you describe it, Sharon, the community service course is more projected? Yes.
I mean, we've had students that have gone into health from it, youth services, events, a very varied qualification.
So quite a high level qualification, and again a year course. Useful if you're not really sure exactly what you want to do, but you might be interested in doing things, well, as the name says, in community areas, then worth giving that consideration. Cert 2 in Health Support Services. This is for people who might aspire to health-related trades, nursing, etc. These aren't necessarily direct entry pathways to nursing from school, but they are very good, beneficial.
Sorry, Jim, the Cert 3 is the
Cert 3 goes straight through.
Health services as a workable qualification straight from school.
Right. Oh, that's fantastic. And DNA Kingston have an excellent reputation. We haven't had, unfortunately, any Hale student do the nursing course, which is...
Relatively new. This is only the second year.
That's true. So if you're interested in that area, boys, please let us know. Certificate 3 in dental assisting, very interesting course. So this is for dental, for people who might be interested in the actual manufacture and
There's 2 or 3 different areas that they can go into. The actual manufacturing of the prosthetics or the dental assistant.
So yes, we usually think of dental assistant as the person who stands next to you with the suction tube. Yes, that could be part of it, but there's also a really interesting one that if you are practically minded, and apparently it's an excellent work pathway, manufacturing mouth guards, forms and other dental prosthetics that are an integral part of the dental industry. You can do that course through us. Construction pathways apply to students who might wish to do things in the building industry. It's a fantastic course. Lots of variety of things that they do. It's not just putting one brick on top of another. They learn genuine skills in that area. Many students we've had have done very well in that course. Plumbing is more specifically plumbing, metal, but they get some skills in metal work, of course, as well as that. Electrode Technology, traditionally chosen by students who might aspire to be electricians or people who work in the electrical trade. Sorry, I've got some sort of palsy at the present. So the certificate do data and voice is another area that can give students the same benefits as the Electrode Technology course in terms of the potential to work in the electrical trades. So because it sounds different to electro, most people think it's electro, therefore that's the one we pick for electrician. Data and voice covers almost the exact same units of competency, but it also has the training for things like cabling, etc., for the digital media components that make up a lot of the new electrical trades. So we wouldn't necessarily recommend one over the other, but data and voice is a very good consideration if you're looking at electrical related areas. And the listing of where they're at is given there. We've got one student involved in loving this new events course. Well, it's not so new, it's new for us, I suppose. Fantastic course, how to run, operate events. Students actually go out in evening experiences working in a TAFE constructed restaurant at Joondalup, a fantastic facility. They run actual events or assist at real events. The Joondalup Community Day that was held a little while back was assisted by all the students in this events course. So genuinely very interesting for anybody who's got aspirations for areas like hospitality or events management, etc. Retail cosmetics, classic cosmetic type of work. We've had a few students, boys from other schools in that area as well as girls, and it's a very good professional qualification if you've got an interest in that area. Screen and media is a reasonably new one. And the Certificate 3 in Screen and Media Digital could be very interesting to a number of students who have aspirations to work in the media industry or the entertainment industry and have skills in that sort of digital production area or want to develop those skills. Cybersecurity is an area we haven't had students involved in the past, but brand new one next year. So well worth having a look at the profile descriptions for these ones on the CareerLink website rather than me trying to put a little moniker over them, because these are more complex courses. Cert 2 in automotive vehicle servicing, very straightforward in terms of where that leads. It is the traditional mechanics course, but using excellent facilities, very nicely kitted out and very well taught by people using modern vehicles. I don't think, is that a modern one there? This is also a very new course, but it's a 2-year course, so if you're a year 11 next year, you could do this. Cert 4 in music industry sound production. So not only just how to produce music, but also how to operate in and function in studio environments or setting up sound production areas. It is over in Burragoon, so it's a bit of a travel, but given that you're walking away with a Cert 4 in 2 years and a very good and interesting course, may be something for you. Creative Arts Stage Management. Now at this point we're just still in the negotiating to get this signed off, so this is brand new. The Stage Management course is looking at what the students would know as our behind the scenes people at Hale School, the people that are going to be setting up productions, stage building, movement, the whole background layout that goes behind an overall production. Fantastic course. They're just like all of these having to get it ratified through the correct authorities. We're hoping to get that signed off. The reason why we say leading training organisations, we can't until they get that formally assigned tick. We are allowed to say WAPA, yeah. So it is with WAPA, and we're very excited about it, but once that gets signed off, we can give you the full details. But if you are interested, so if you're a student who thinks you'd love to do something in the creative arts stage management area, when you put your application in, please list that course, but just be aware that on the unlikely chance that they say it's not ratified, your second option will be what you will be getting if you don't get the first one.
It's sounding very, very positive.
We're hoping it will be fine. So, thank you very much for your patience. I'm almost done. So where to next? Wednesday next week. Please go on the website. Check the portal. It will be in the CareerLink section of the portal. Or maybe it's easier to put it in the careers section of the portal. I'm just wondering, what do you think, Mr. Kernish?
We'll put it everywhere.
Everywhere.
Send it to you in an email.
That's right. The first thing you do when you hit the portal, it'll pop up. So, no, it'll be definitely in the CareerLink section, in the careers section as well. And as I said, if there's any issues at all, please don't hesitate to contact me. You have got Sharon's card, hopefully, when you came in, and giving her a ring is also very useful. And now, before we have any questions, I'd also like to welcome a special guest that has very kindly offered to come in and have a quick chat to you today. So Andy Griffith's son went to Hale, how many years ago now did he graduate?
In 2017.
2017. So, and was part of our CareerLink cohort, and he's kindly offered to come in and just give you a parent's perspective of the course, because we can do all the big spiel, but we hope that you would appreciate hearing from somebody who's been through that process, which can be quite new for many parents who may not have had a student in this zone before. Yeah, thank you for coming in today. So.
Okay, I'll try not to take too much of your time, but I will stay back and take any of your questions if you've got them. So my son Ben, as I said, was here 2017, graduated then, and the program has come on a long way since he was here. It was only offered to Year 12 boys then, and I look at the Year 11 options with a bit of a touch of envy, because Year 11 was a hard year for Ben. I think I won't say that the work effort really changed over the 2 years, but the reward was there in Year 12 when he was on the CareerLink program, whereas Year 11, you know, the effort was there, the results weren't always there, and you can get into a cycle as a boy of being, you know, wondering why you do it when you're not getting nice, good results, or you're seeing other friends and such like prosper. So I'll give a little bit more of a context. I'm a softie. I sort of have a view that boys take a while to grow up, and importantly, you want to see them grow up, and you know, getting them home and getting them talking to you in the home, enjoying being a boy, to me was important. And I think in terms of timing of when people can make decisions, boys and as a consequence, their parents agonise over making decisions about what they should and shouldn't do. I questioned at the time whether CareerLink, doing CareerLink, I was getting value from my fees at Hale. I'll stand here and say that was very naive of me, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to come and talk this evening, because I don't think it's boys stopping boys doing CareerLink. I think sometimes it's parents, because we can often think that there's a set pathway that we should follow. We hear about ATAR, we understand that, and that's what we'll do. You went to Hale, you did ATAR, you went to uni, and it's all measured out. But Ben's experience, as I'll share with you, has definitely shown me that taking CareerLink was the right way to go. So whilst he was at school, I would say CareerLink, the pluses for me, watching Ben and for Ben himself, I'm going to repeat a little bit what Tim has said. Definitely the independence was a big plus. We live up in Ocean Reef, and Ben had to travel down to the Fremantle Education Centre once a week, off his own back, know where to go, know what time to take the train, where to park, all of those things. He was able to choose a course that was really relevant and interesting. He chose to do, he wants to be a primary school teacher, and has embarked on a number of courses as an education assistant. So he was actually doing what he wanted, instead of finding the course that fitted or that he was shoehorned into. His Year 12 experience was all about doing things that he was passionate about. Not only was it relevant, it gave purpose. There was something to look beyond the end of the year and to say, okay, well, this is now where I'm going to go. This is what I can see. I can join the dots and see where that career might take me. One of the other big things that I've alluded to is if you do go down the path of choosing general subjects, all of a sudden, from struggling in an ATAR subject, you're actually starting to hit B's and A's. You're given feedback by the school, and all of a sudden you realise that you're second in the class, and with a bit of effort you might even get to first and get an award. And I can't really emphasise how significant that can be to some boys. If you're putting in 3-4 hours a night and you're getting assignment backs and it's a D or it's a C, or it's not what you want, that can knock your confidence. And I would say really Ben's experience of Year 12 was one of gaining a massive amount of confidence of, if I work a little bit harder in this area, who knows, I might even get a prize. And he was successful with that, and took a lot out of it. The pathway, as I said, he did a Cert 3 as an education assistant, education support here at Hale. Were he to go now, I'd be pushing him to have done it in Year 12, Year 11, so he could do the Cert 4 in Year 12. After leaving, he's done a Cert 4 at North Metropolitan TAFE. He's got 2 sets of practical work experience under his belt, one here at Hale, another effectively doing, I think it's about 120 hours at Hawker Park Primary School in Warwick. Passed both of those and has since, and is now eligible to work as a teacher's assistant. This year he's commenced doing a uni prep course at ECU. So on completion of that, he's eligible to go in and start a degree in primary teaching, which he's going to do in 2021. He's taking a gap year to work in boarding school next year in the UK. But he's already done some days' work as a relief teacher. So it's really that there's something tangible that you can aim for, and a real reward, a real sense of achievement and accomplishment. So again, in that growing up as boys, I think that's pretty special. Looking back at the CareerLink pathway, I'd say again it's given Ben clear purpose. It's given him confidence. He's doing something he enjoys, and is actually test driving a career. You know, going in and seeing what teaching's about and being alongside teachers. It's not something that you can read out of a book. By being there, he's actually seeing what it involves. He's going at his own pace. Yeah, so I think that's something that some people need to think about. You know, you can see the path you're taking, and you can know where you're going to be at what stage, and you've really got a sense that you're not going to get dropped along the way as you can sometimes if you're struggling with your ATAR subjects. And probably the most important thing for me, as I said, I'm a softie, but I've got a son who's now turning 20 this year. He's at one with his world. He's got some purpose. He's got some direction, and he knows where he wants to go. And that I think I can certainly credit a lot to CareerLink. So thank you for listening. I'll be here if you want to ask questions, and both Tim's certainly got my contacts if you want to ask after tonight as well.
Thanks so much for that. And I do hope that you've taken away what gives us the passion to keep doing this particular role, that seeing students finding direction and interest and excitement in their lives after maybe sometimes finding school very challenging. It's a genuine pleasure for us in that working in that zone, and we wouldn't do it if we didn't feel that sort of joy that comes of seeing young people thriving after initial adversity. So thank you again for coming along this evening. If you've got some general questions that might benefit everybody here, please feel free to ask them now, but we'll all be staying behind afterwards. You're welcome to ask us individually. As I said, and the contact details and everything will be available from tomorrow on the portal, and the applications next week. We do hope to see some students being inspired by this talk to take the opportunity to apply. And just final reiteration, it's better to apply and change your mind than apply late and miss out. Would be the main thing we hear. And the other thing that we'd say is that we're not going to just tell you that your life is going to be one direction simply because you've taken an opportunity to do building or business or whatever it is in Year 12. But life's journey can either be directionless, or you can have a direction to start with, and this is an excellent direction to start with, and we find many people will go on, and all the twists and turns of their life journey get better and better from that point when they start feeling confident and clear where the car's heading in the first place. So looking forward to seeing hopefully some of you next year, and best of luck in the rest of the year with your studies. And thank you so much for parents for taking the time to come along this evening for your sons. Thank you.